Good day everyone, it's Alkali Shepard. Today I'll be creating a dashboard from scratch to finish. So this is currently my homepage. When I click this dashboard link, you can see this brings me to this particular sheet. Now this is a dashboard we are going to be creating from scratch to finish. It might look complicated, but I'm actually going to walk you from the very beginning to the very end. And if I click any of this slicer, you can see how automated my dashboard is. You need not to worry. I'm actually going to show you how to do things like this in the video. All right then. So when I come back to my register, this is the table out of which we are going to be creating the dashboard. This workbook basically is containing information of students in a particular school as regarding their payments and every other thing related to payments. Now the columns here contain information. So you can see the first column here is the admission number. You can see the second column here is their names, and you can see other columns like the section class, which contains the informations that relate to those headings. Now but the majority of our dashboard will revolve around the cumulative payment, the outstanding, and even the net payable of those students and their payment status. These are the major columns we are going to be using in this particular project, but that doesn't mean other columns are quite not important. They're actually important for this particular project we are carrying out. So all you just need to have at the back of your mind is this is a school fees analysis template which I designed some months back, and I'll be using this to design the dashboard we are going to be seeing today. All right then, so when I come back home, this is all you see. So all I just need you to do is sit back, relax, and understand how I build this dashboard from scratch to finish, and endeavor to like and subscribe to the channel. I come to insert, then I come to illustrations, then I pick shapes. I select rectangle, then I drag this on the surface. So I'm actually making a background for my dashboard. So I come to shape outline. No outline is what I select. Then for the height of this particular shape, 19.2 centimeters is what I'll give it. For the width, I'll give this 40.84. Then I enter. Good. So just drag this to cover your worksheet like this. So I come to home. Then I give it a fill. So the fill I'll be giving this is this particular color I have here. Good. Now this is what I have. I come to insert once more, select another shape. The shape I'll be selecting is a rectangle with rounded corners. So I pick this, then I drag on the surface like this. For the shape outline, I want none of it. For the height, I'll be giving this a height of 17.45 centimeters. Then for the width, I'll be giving this a width of 6.58 centimeters. Then I just drag this and drop somewhere around the left. So for the fill of this particular shape, I'll be giving it a kind of red color. It's a hex code. So just come to more colors, then hit on that, then come to custom. So this is hashtag 84291A. Then I enter. This is the fill I want this shape to have. Then I Control C and Control V. All I did was duplicate this particular shape. Then I just drag this one towards the right like this. Good. So but instead I'll actually increase the width of this particular shape to 8.01. Then I enter, and that's good enough. So I just drag leftwards a little bit. Then I would actually duplicate this shape again. So I Control C, Control V. Then I just drag this and drop somewhere around here. So but this time around the height is going to be 9.47 centimeters. Then the width is actually going to be 21.21 centimeters. This is good. So the fill would be something different. So I'll be giving this well, kind of dark fill. This one is okay. Then just select that, then drag this below. So I quickly come to register and create a pivot table out of this register. So just make sure you've selected within the cell. This is actually in a table form. This file can be downloaded from the link I put in the description below. Please endeavor to do that. So once I select a cell within the table, I just quickly come to insert, then I hit on pivot table. So you can see the name of my table is register table, and is that I want it to be in a new worksheet or an existing worksheet. So I just select this because I actually have a sheet which is designated for all pivot tables that will be controlling the dashboard. So for the location, I just select pivot table sheet like this, then select a cell within the pivot table sheet, then I OK. Good. You can see I've created a pivot table successfully. So the first thing I'll be doing is I'll locate a column called net payable. Then I drag this to values. So basically what I want to see is the total amount that can be collected for that particular term in that school you get. So this is the total amount that can be paid. Or should I say this is the total amount expected by the school to be paid by the students. So I quickly drag the cumulative payments also to the values. I want to be able to see the total amount that has been paid by all students for that particular term or so far. Then I also drag the outstanding to values. So outstanding shows us the amount that is left to be paid. So when you sum up this value and this value, you should always have 3,647,200. As you can see, my sum value reflects. You can see my sum value reflects that at the bottom here. Good. So this is the value I want to see, and I want to be able to display these values on my dashboard. So what I'll do is I'll quickly extract these values to another cell or to another table outside of the pivot table. So just see what I'll do. Please follow me step by step. So I type out net payable here. I type out cumulative payment. So I'm just going to use an equal sign, then reference this value here. Reference this value here. Do the same thing for the other cells. Reference them. I'll be adding an if error function in a situation whereby an error is produced. I want the value of 0 to be presented, not an error value. So what I'll do is I'll come to this cell, then come to the formula bar, then type out if error like this, and just double click on this. When you've referenced the cell and there's an error, I want 0 to be returned. Then I enter. So do the same thing for the other cells. So just select them, come to your formula bar, type out if error like this. Then you can just come to the ending, put a comma, then 0, then close the bracket, then enter. Do the same thing for this cell also. If error, good, come to the ending, put a comma, 0, then close the brackets, then enter. So also I'll be creating the percentages for these values. So like I said, the sum of this value and this value produces the net payable amount. So it means that this is the 100%. How do I get the percentages? I just put equal to, then I do this divided by this, then I enter. So you select the cell, come to your home tab, select the percent star. Then the same thing you do for this, equal to this divided by this value, then you enter. Then select the cell, then hit on percent star. So you can see 55% payment has been made so far out of the 100% expected. So this is now equal to this minus this. Then enter, and we are good to go. But first of all, I must add if error values. So come here, quickly type out if error, then double click, comma, then 0, then close the bracket. Do the same thing for the other cells. I move to my dashboard sheet. So the first thing I'll do is I'll insert a text box. So come to text, then insert text box, then just drag on the surface like this. So come to shape format, shape outline, then we say no outline. So you can just adjust the size a little. So what I'll be doing is I'll be displaying the net payable, cumulative payment, and outstanding values respectively here. So this is what I'll be using to do that, the text box. So when you select this text box like this, come to your formula bar, then use an equal to sign, then you come to the pivot tables, then you select the net payable value, then enter. You can see the value has been extracted. So I can just duplicate this 2 more times, Control C. Good. So for this text box, I'll be extracting the value for the cumulative payment. So I just clear this other extraneous materials. Then I come to this cell, then I select. Good. Do the same thing for the last text box. Good. So select all text boxes. Give a size of 20. Then give a font style of. What I'll do is I'll come back to pivot tables. Then I change the then I add a currency sign to these values because these are monies. They need to be expressed as currencies. So when you highlight the 3 of them like this, come to general, then pick currency. Good. Then when you come to dashboard, you can see that it's now expressed in Naira. From here, after selecting all three text boxes, Control 1, then this pane just appears. Then you select no field. You don't want it to have any field. Good. So this is how you actually want it to be presented. Okay then, so I'll be inserting another text box. So come to insert, then come to text, then select the text box, then just drag this on the surface once more, then shape format, then we select no outline. All right, so what I'll be doing is I'll be adding the labels for these values. So the first label will be revenue expected. So instead of saying net payable, I'll be using another phrase that can stand in place for net payable. And revenue expected is one phrase that I think can represent net payable properly. So for this, I just duplicate two more times. I Control C, then I Control V. Select all three text boxes that carries the labels. Come home, then give this a font style of Arial. Then you Control 1. Then say no fill. You want no fill at all. For the color of the text, give it white. Then for the size, you leave it at 11, and this is perfectly okay. Then I can just change this once. I can change this to revenue collected because for cumulative payments, this shows the amount that has been collected already. So I'll call this revenue collected. I call this outstanding. If you observe the dashboard we are replicating, you can tell that there are icons that are actually used to express the information we are representing. So I'll quickly just add those icons as quick as possible. So I have a sheet which carries quite a number of icons. So there are two ways you can do this. These are actually pre-downloaded icons, but if at all you don't want to make use of this, Excel gives you the opportunity to use as much icons as possible. So how you do that is you just come to insert, then come to illustrations. You can see this icon which says icons. So when you click on this, it loads it for you. So if you have a proper internet connection, this is going to be loaded and you see a whole lot of icons that you can make use of. I'm actually not connected to the internet currently, but I have pre-downloaded icons which are quite enough for the project I am carrying out. But if you feel you have other icons you want to explore, you can make sure you're connected to the internet and access it online. Quickly just select this icon, which is more like a dollar bill. Then I Control C. Then I come back to dashboard. Then I paste here. Good. So I can just adjust this and place somewhere around the top. So first things first, I make some adjustments. I come to graphics format. Then for the graphics outline, I'll make sure it's white. Then for the graphics fill, I make sure it's white also. Or for the outline, let me say no outline. I don't want it looking too bold. Yes. So for this icon, I'll be giving it a height of 1.49. Then I'll be giving it a width of, and this is how I want it to be. Then I just place somewhere around the top. So I Control C, then I Control V two more times. Then I just drag this and place at the top here. Then I drag the other one. So I select this, and this without the background. Then I come to group, then I select. Good, you can see it is now grouped. Do the same thing for the other information you have. Then come to shape format. Then you group. Do the same thing for this. All right, I'll be creating another pivot table. So I come to the pivot table sheet. So I'm quickly just going to duplicate this pivot table I have. Now, this pivot table is actually going to be responsible for the total population of students, but I'll be breaking down this total population into the new intake students and the returning students. So how do I do this? Now, I try to locate a field called student status. So I'll be dragging this to rows. Then I'm actually going to drag the admission number field to values. Now, the admission number is a unique identifier for every student. So once we count this, we should be able to have the total population of students. So when I drag this, you can see we have a total population of 170 students. But out of this 170, we have 53 new intake students and 117 returning students. So for the blank, I don't want this. So I quickly just filter this out. Then okay, good. So I'm going to extract these values out using a formula. So I'm quickly just going to type out new intake like this. Just stick to what I'm doing. Whatever I do, just stick to what I'm doing. Right, but I'll have to add an if error just because of a situation whereby I might have an error. So instead of the error being displayed, I'm actually going to want a 0 to be displayed. So I come before if VLOOKUP and I tap out if error like this. Then I open a bracket, come behind it, insert a comma, insert a 0, then close the bracket. Then okay, good. You can see this has been done. Then I just drag downwards. Good. So the next thing I'll do is I'll come back to my dashboard, insert another text box, come to shape fill, then I say no fill. I come to shape outline, then I say no outline. Come to your formula bar, then insert an equal to. So this is going to help me extract the values I have. So I'll be picking this first one, which is 53. Control C, Control V. Now I come back to my formula bar, I cancel this, then I select the other value, which is 117, then I enter. Good. I select the both of them all together, use Control, then left click on each of the text box, then come here, then I give it area rounded empty, then I enter. Then for their size, I give it a size of 20, but I'm actually going to want to express them in students. So if it's 53, I expect to be seeing 53 students instead of instead of just 53 or instead of just 117. So quickly just double tap into any of the text boxes and type out students by the side. Then you can expand the text box if you want to. So I'll do the same thing for the other guy. For the other text box, then I type out students like this, and I drag. Good. So I quickly just bring the icon that I'll be using to represent these values. So I come to my icons sheet, then I select this this icon looking like a boy figure. Then I duplicate the icon. But I'll be adding one more thing. That's the label for these values. So I insert a text box again, or you can just duplicate any of the text boxes you have, but I'm just going to do this. Good. Then I can just change the font color to white. Then I call this returning students. I can just type out returning and the information is conveyed properly. So I just group everything. So I just select this, I select this also. Then I come to shape format, then I come to group, and I group. I do the same thing for the other guy. So I just select all the text boxes I have now. Then I come to shape format, then I say align, distribute vertically, and this is good enough. So just make sure they are well aligned properly. I'll be creating progress charts, and these progress charts are actually going to perform specific tasks. One of the progress charts will help us track payment progress. How do we do this? I come to pivot tables. So you can see that the cumulative payment is actually the amount that has been paid so far out of the total expected. And you can also tell that the outstanding is the amount left out to be paid by the students. So how do I do what I want to do? So I quickly just select a blank cell, then I come to insert. So I insert a donut chart basically. So once you insert a donut chart like this, make sure you have this tab, which is chart design, then come to select data. Once you hit select data, you should have a dialog box like this. Then I hit on add. So for the series values, I just clear whatever I have here. So now what I want to do now is I want to add something like a calibration to the progress chart I'll be making. This is basically for aesthetics. That is all. I just want to add beauty to the progress chart I am creating. That is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. So type out 1 to about 50 times. So this is how I do it. 1 comma 1 comma. So type this to about 50 times. So I just hit OK. So you can see I have about 52. So it's just a plus or minus. You can have less than 50, you can have more than 50. I delete this and I also delete this. So make sure you select the progress charts like this, then Control 1. So once you Control 1, you should have a pane appear. So click fill and line. Then I'll be selecting a solid fill for my donut chart. Then I scroll down a little, or instead I should select a gradient fill. So I select a gradient fill for my donut chart. Then when you scroll down a little, you should be able to find the gradient stops. So make sure you have 2 gradient stops like this. In case you want to add a gradient stop, just hit on this plus you can see, and you keep adding. If you want to delete, just select, then hit on the X. Select one of the gradient stops, then hit on the X. Select any of the gradient stops, then hit on the X. That is how you delete them. So make sure you have just 2 gradient stops and they are at the extreme end like this. Then you scroll down and come to border. So for the border, you scroll down and come to width. So make this width 8 pt, then enter. Then this color, make it black. And you should have something like what I have now. Select your progress chart once more, then make sure this is just the background this time around. Make sure you don't select within the donut chart itself. Then hit on no fill. You can see it is now transparent, and you can also say no line, and definitely the outline it has goes. So this is what I want to do basically. So now I should add the actual values that I want to represent. So select the chart once more, then come to select data, then select add. So when you select add, clear whatever you have within the series values, then highlight these 2 cells because I'll be expressing them in percentages basically. Then I OK. Then I also OK. You can see what I now have. Good. So select just the donut chart at the very top. Just select the one at the very top. Then come to border and say no line. Basically, I want the line, the white line you could see should disappear. That is what I want. So after doing this, now this donut chart is actually going to be displaying the percentage of cumulative payment. So that means I don't want to see the percentage of the outstanding. So amongst the 2 portions we have here, that is the blue and the orange portion, you can tell that this orange portion is what represents the outstanding percentage. So I make sure I select it, make sure you double click and select just the orange portion. Then you come and select no fill. Once you do that, you can see it disappears. Then you can now select the blue portion, then come back to fill and line. Then for fill and line, you can give it a gradient fill, and this now appears like this. Then I come to format. The last thing I'll be doing is I'll be playing with the height and width of this. So I just cut this basically. Then I come to my dashboard. Then I paste. So the next thing I'll be doing is I'll be adding a label. I'll be adding a label and the percentage value itself to this progress chart. So how do I do that? I come to insert. Then I come to text box. I pick a text box and I drag on the surface. So come to shape format, you can say no outline for the text box, and you can also say no fill for the text box. So once this has been done, you can just come to the formula bar, then hit equal to, and come to pivot tables and select 55% because this is the value we are trying to display on that progress chart. So I enter. Good, and you can see this is appearing here. So I come back to the size and I give this a size of 20. So I just insert another text box. Then I drag at the top. Good. So I come to shape format. So the label of this value is payment progress. This is what I'm displaying. So I make sure I give it a label. Then I give this a white font color. Then for the font style, I give it Garamond and I enter. And there's an icon I used. So I just come to icons, then I located that particular icon. This is the one I used, this one here. So I just Control C and I come back to dashboard. Then I paste here. So I come to graphics format. Then for the graphics field, I give it white. And you can see how this has been represented. So there's actually a white background on which this information are placed on top of. So I just come to insert, then I come to illustrations, come to shapes, then I select this circle we have here, then I just drag. So for the outline, for the shape outline, I say no outline. And for the fill, I want it to have a white fill. So I just select white. For the height, but before I place this on top of them, I would have to make them black color so they can appear while on top of the white background we have. So select this, then come to graphics format and give it a graphic fill of black. So I just drag this, then I place on top. I right click on the circle, then I send to back. Good. You can see what happened. So select the main background, that is this background that is kind of dark gray. Then right click and also send to back, and you can see how this now looks. So I'll be creating another progress chart. So this progress chart is actually going to help us track the percentage of students that have paid completely nothing. So it's basically giving us the population of students that have paid completely nothing. There's always a possibility of students that have made part payment. There's also a possibility of students that have paid completely nothing, and there's also a possibility of students that have paid everything. So I come to pivot tables, then I duplicate any of the pivot tables I have. So I bring out my field list, take out everything I have within this place. So I locate a field called payment status. So this is what tells you the status of the student. It depends on if he has paid all, paid nothing, or paid part. For the error we have, this is actually a scenario whereby students have made a payment more than the amount is expected to pay. So it's very much unlikely, but well, we have the possibility here, so let's work with it. So anywhere you see error, it means that those group of students have actually paid more than they're expected to pay. So that's just the provision I made. And I just drag admission number to values. So you can see out of 170 total, you can see 21 students made payments more than. You can see one student paid exactly the amount is to pay, and you can see 22 students have paid nothing at all, and 126, the majority of the population, have paid just part of the amount they are expected to pay. So what I'll do is I right click, then I show values as percentage of grand total. Good. I actually want to see the value in percentage. So this is the value I'm actually after. So I just leave it like this. So I quickly just extract these values using VLOOKUP to another table beneath the pivot table. So I just type out everything I can see here, or you can just copy this, Control C, then you paste here. Good. Then use VLOOKUP to extract these values. So I do equal VLOOKUP. But make sure I add an if error. Good. Just drag this like this. So I come to this percent style, then I select like this, and you can see we have it in percentage. So the first thing I just do is I select a blank cell, then I insert a donut chart. Good. You should have a blank background like this. So I'm basically recreating the same thing I did for the previous progress chart. This time around is just that we are tracking the percentage of students that are paid nothing at all. But the same steps I took in creating the previous progress chart is the same thing I will be doing here. So I come to select data, then I hit on add, Then I come to series values and I clear this. So I type out 1 to about 50 times. Control 1, fill and line, then you give it a gradient fill. Scroll down. Good. Make sure you have gradient stops and they are both at the extreme end. I come to select data once more. Then I click on add. Then I clear whatever I have within series values. Good, you can see everything has been represented properly. So basically all I want to see is just the percentage for the paid nothing. I actually don't need the others. So I locate what portion represents that. So you can see this hash portion is what is responsible for displaying the percentage that I've paid nothing. So I'm basically just going to make the other portions transparent. First of all, select like this, then Control 1, come to fill and line, then you can say no line from here. Good. Close the pane once more. Then you can just adjust somewhere around here. So you can select the donut chart once more, then Control 1. Come to fill and line. Then, okay, first of all, I select the yellow portion. Make sure you select just the yellow portion. Then you say no fill. That is the first thing you do. Select the blue portion. Give it no fill also. Then select just the little orange portion you can see there. Make sure you select good, then you give it a no fill. Now you can see I have just the portion for my paid nothing, and this is how I want it to be. So select this portion again, just this portion, then come to fill. You double click to select that particular portion. Good. So give it a gradient fill, and this is good enough. So I just close this pane. Okay, so make sure I give this one the same height and width. So this is 6.99 and 8.51. So just select this one. Make sure you've selected it like this. Then come here and type 6.99. Then type out 8.51 and enter. Good. You can now see they're of the same size. Good. So the next thing I'll do is I'll bring out the labels and the percentage value here. So I just come to insert a text box. Then I just drag. Then I come to my formula bar, insert an equal to. Then I come to pivot tables. Then I select this cell. Then I enter. Good. So for the size, this goes to have 20. For the style, I give this area rounded. Good. So for the icon responsible, or for the icon that best represents this information, I just come to icons. Then I select this one. I Control C. Then I come back to dashboard. I just come back to insert, illustrations, shapes. Then I select the circle once more again. Just pick, then I drag on the surface. Good. So for the size, I should give this 4.45, and for the width I should give this 4.45 also. Then I enter. Then I come to outline, then I say no outline. Then for the fill, you should have a white fill. Should have a white fill. So select this, then you just drag and drop on the surface like this. Good. All right, then, so I'll be creating a bar chart. So basically this bar chart is actually going to be showing us the cumulative payments that we have so far, but it's actually going to be breaking it down into the paid part, paid all, and the error. So remember I told you the error is actually for individuals that have happened to pay more than they're expected to pay. It is highly unlikely, but well, my data set has the possibility. I quickly come to pivot tables, then I duplicate one of my pivot tables I have, my previous pivot tables. I take out every field I have within this pivot table. Then I locate payment status. So you can see this payment status is what places you in a particular group depending on what kind of payments you've made. So I now drag cumulative payment to values. Good. You can see this is what I have. So I'm going to filter out paid nothing. I actually don't want to see a bar chart. I actually don't want to have a bar for paid nothing. I'm only interested in the amounts that has been paid. So for blank, I take blank out also. Then I Okay, so that you can see. So you can see those that have paid, total amounts that has been paid by those that have paid more than they expected to pay is 438,100. You can see for paid all we have 15,000 naira. For those that are paid part, we have just 153,000. We have 1.5 million or 1.5 million. So I'm quickly just going to extract these values to a table beneath the pivot table, just like I've been doing to other values. So I just copy this, then I paste around here. Then I use VLOOKUP to extract this value. So VLOOKUP, but I make sure this is expressed in currency. So I just come to general, then I hit on currency, and this is good. So highlight everything you have here, then come to bar chart once more. Then you can select this one. Control X. Then I come to dashboard. Then I paste here. Now Control 1. Now select the secondary axis. Then you can delete. Then for the labels, you can just come and change the color. Give it a font color of white so it can be displayed properly. Then for the bar, you can just then you can come to the fill, come to format, then you can say shape outline, no outline. Arrange this a little, play around it a little. So try to shift this to the right. So for the labels, just select like this, come to this plus. Then you can see we have data labels. Then you can just select that, and that is good. So you can see it's actually being displayed but not visible enough. So I just select the data labels at the top, and I change the color to white. And you can see it's now visible enough for everyone to see. So this is what I'll do. So I just Control C any of these text boxes that has a label. Then I paste here. Good. Then I change the text within the text box. I call this cumulative payment by status. Cumulative payment by status. Then I just drag downwards a little. Good. Then I give this a white color so it can be visible enough. This is actually the label for this bar chart. So I'm going to make it look more like that. So I'm just going to drag this towards the left, towards the right a little, and this is that. So you can see this is another way you can just represent this. So this is the cumulative payment by status. This is the bar chart representing that for us. So I'll be creating another bar chart. So this bar chart I'll be creating is actually going to be responsible for displaying the debt owed by every class. That is the outstanding remaining for every class. So how do I do this? I quickly just come to my pivot tables. Good. Then I duplicate any of those pivot tables I have. Pivot table analyze, then bring out field list. Then I locate a field called class. Now this class field contains every class a student can belong to. So I just drag this to row. So this is the list of every class you can find in every school in Nigeria. Then I locate another field called outstanding. Then I drag this to values. So you can see this is the value owed by every class. This is the debt for every class. You can see JSS2 has 72,400 naira to balance and all that. So I'm actually going to do a little arrangement. I'm going to arrange these classes in order of hierarchy. Good. So for the blank, I don't think I'll be needing this, so I just filter this out. Then I okay. So the next thing I'll be doing is I'll extract this value. We have been doing the remaining. So I just come here. First of all, I copy all this information. Then I use VLOOKUP to pull these values. Good. So I just changed the current. I just changed these values to currency. Good. So out of this, I'll be creating a bar chart. So select this label for every bar, then Control 1. Now once you do this, you should have this pane. So you should come here, come to size and properties. Then for the alignment for this should be middle centered. Then for the text direction, you should make this rotate 90 degrees, so you can see it is now actually vertical, just like the bars we have. So you select this and say no fill. Make sure you select no fill for the background. I should drag this around here. Then I guess this is good enough. Then I also say no line for the border. Then I can change the height and width of this particular bar chart. So I come to format. I can just cut this, Control X. Then I come to dashboard. I can close this pane. Then I paste. The label matches with the color of the background. So I quickly just change this color to white so it can be visible enough. Then I select the bars, then I give them a fill, then I Control 1, then I give this a black fill. So make sure you hit the plus at the top right, close this pane, at the top right, then you give this data labels. When you select that, you can see all the values are displayed at the top. So select the labels this time around, then you can actually Control 1. When you do this, you can come to size and properties also. Then for the text direction, change this to rotate 90 degrees. Then come back to home page, come back to your home tab and select this font color. Then give this white from here. And you can see this changes. And I can now close this pane and I think this is actually looking good enough. Just that it's not actually wide. So I can just increase the size a little. So select the data labels. Then you can actually increase the size from your home tab using this. Then I can see this is actually looking bolder. And you can do the same thing for the labels of the bar. That is the one on the horizontal axis. Then I give this a white color. I can just come to shape format. Then I left 90 degrees. So I actually want to be able to see the total population in every class and also be able to determine the total debtors out of the total population. So how do I do this? I'll have to create a pivot table that is going to be responsible for this. So basically this background here, I'll be using this full length to be able to display the total population in every class and also the total number of debtors in every class. So I come to pivot tables as quick as possible. Then I duplicate this pivot table, this particular one. I want to be able to see the population of every class. Then I also want to be able to see the total number of debtors in every class. So for now, I just drag the admission number to values. You can see it is actually summarized by count. You can see I have 170 students, and I can see the population for every class. You can see out of the 170, 3 belong to the crèche, 2 belong to play class, and so on and so forth. So out of this, I'll just extract the values as quick as possible. So I just quickly just duplicate this pivot table one more time. This time around, I'm going to be creating a pivot table that is going to show us the total number of debtors in every class. Now make sure you select paid nothing and paid part only, because paid nothing and paid part together form the outstanding. Summarize these values, right click, then summarize these values as count. You can see, so the total population has actually appeared here. So we have 148 debtors in this particular school. Then I use equal to VLOOKUP. Good. So you can see the total number of debtors for every class. So in a class like crèche, we have 3 debtors. In a class like JSS 1, we have 14 debtors, and so on and so forth. So I quickly just come back to my dashboard. I insert a shape. So I just a shape, and I'm going to select a rectangle with rounded corners. Good. So I duplicate this 2 more times. Quickly just insert a text box. So I give this no outline, and I give this no fill. Good. I just type out class. Let me change the fill, the text fill, come home, then select white. So class like this. Then Control C this and paste here and here. Good. I'll insert a little circle. Select this, then you just drag like this. Then I just duplicate one of these text boxes. So the first class we have is the crèche. So we'll just type this out here, then we drag like this. Good. So I just Control C, then I Control V this, then I just drag this to somewhere around here. For the population, I just clear this value out, then I come to my formula bar, then I insert equal to, then I come to my pivot tables. Good. So for the population, you come to the pivot table you created to the population, then you select the value for crèche from here. I select this, then I enter. And you can see my value just appears here. Then I duplicate this text box again, Control V. Then I do the same thing for the population, for the debtors. Good. Select within the cell, then come to the formula bar, then insert an equal to, then come to your pivot tables, then select the population for the debtors, which is this one. To avoid confusion, so this is for population, while this is for debtors. Good. So to avoid confusion and all that, so I come back to my dashboard. So the next class is actually going to be play class, followed by nursery 1, followed by nursery 2, followed by nursery 3, come to align again once more, and you can see align left. Good. So this is what I have. Then so you can see every class with the population and with debtors. So since I've actually done for crèche, I just begin doing for the other classes. So I select for play class, clear the value I have here. Then I come to my pivot tables. Then I select the population for play class. Then I enter. I do the same thing for the debtors. Clear the value I have here. I select the value for its debtors. This is 2. And I keep doing the same thing for every other class. So at this very point here, I'll be introducing icons that will help us navigate through the entire workbook, just like links. I'll have to create space for the icons I want to introduce for the link. Quickly come to insert, come to illustrations, come to shapes, then select a rectangle. Then still selecting this shape at the extreme right, you control 1. Then for the fill, you give it a solid fill, then you increase the transparency to about 38%. Then this is okay. Then you just close the. So the first icon I'll be introducing is the icon that is going to stand for the home. So that icon is actually going to serve as a link. On clicking that icon, I come to home. So I come to my icons and I select a fitting icon. So this one is actually looking like what I'm going to use. So I just Control C this. Then I come to dashboard. Then I paste. Good. So I just adjust the size to be able to fit a little. Good. So I just place it like this. Then I come to the next one. So we can see dashboard. So I come to icons and see what icon is actually going to represent dashboard properly. So this one looks well. This one looking like a speedometer. Just Control C this. Then I come to dashboard. Then I come to register. So for register, I'm going to look for an icon that most likely is going to represent register. So I just select this one looking like books stacked on top of each other. So I Control C, then I come to dashboard, then I paste here, then I just drag downwards a little bit. I just reduce the size to make it look smaller, and this is good. Then the next sheet we have is payment entry. The payment entry, I can just select this one. Then I Control C. This one looking like a receipt or something like that. So I come to dashboard. I just drag this downwards a little for space. So I just right click on this first icon. Then I come to link. Then I come to place in this document. So I actually want on clicking that icon, I should come to the home page. So I select home here. Then I select the other icon. I right click. Then I come to link. Then I come to place in this document. So on clicking that icon, I want to come to my dashboard, but I'm actually going to give a screen tip. I forgot to do that for the home icon. So you put dashboard. So this is what is going to be displayed on screen, telling me that this is the icon that leads you to the dashboard. Okay. So when I hover on this, you can see that the cursor has changed to a finger pointing upwards. You can see the screen tip on my screen is actually displaying dashboard. So this is that. So for the next icon, I right click, then I come to link also, then I come to place in this document, then I select register. So on clicking that icon, I want to come to the register, then I come to screen tip, then I give it this name, register, then I okay, good. So when I hover on it, you can see the screen tip shows register and it is now clickable. So when I click on this, you can see it linked me back to my register sheet. So I just come back to dashboard. Good. Then for the last icon, I just right click, then I come to link, then I select payment entry. So on clicking that icon, it brings me to the payment entry sheet. Then I OK. Sorry, let me right click once more. Then I edit link. So I should give it a screen tip of payment entry. Then I OK. Then I OK. I do the same thing for this one. I forgot to edit. I forgot to give it a screen tip. So I come to screen tip. Then I just give it home. Then I OK. Then I also OK. Good. So now the last thing I'm going to be adding is the slicer. So the slicer is actually going to be responsible for the automation we're going to be having on this dashboard. So how do I insert a slicer? I quickly come to my pivot tables. Then I select any of the pivot tables I have and insert a slicer out of it. So I'm actually going to be inserting one slicer, and that slicer is going to be responsible for the automation you'll be seeing in my dashboard. So the slicer I'll be inserting is going to be out of the section field. So just right click the section field, then select add a slicer, and you should have something like this. So select the slicer, then come to the tab, which this contextual tab, which is called slicer, then adjust the columns. Now, one thing I'm going to do is I have to link this slicer to every dashboard. So if you observe, I created this slicer out of this pivot table, out of the section column for this pivot table. So it's more or less saying this slicer is responsible for only this pivot table. So I'll have to link this slicer to every other pivot table before it can control every other pivot table here. So how do I do that? I select the slicer once more. I come to my slicer tab. Then I select report connections. So check all the empty boxes you can see here. So these are all the pivot tables we've created. We actually neglected naming these pivot tables, but it's actually one good practice to always name your pivot tables when creating dashboard. Then I OK. So I just cut this, Control X. Then I come to dashboard. Then I paste. Good. So you can see it at the top like that. So you just adjust. So I just insert another shape to cover the blank. I insert a rectangle like this. Then I just drag on the surface. Good. So I take out the shape outline, and I also give it a fill of. Just select this one. Okay, instead of I give it this one, give it this. Then I can just drag this. Then I place on top of the blank. I actually don't want this blank displayed, so I just use a shape to cover that. Then I drag towards the right, and you can see that is gone. So on selecting any of this slicer, watch and see the automation. Let me just collapse this. So now look at this. So on clicking SS, you can see the automation. On clicking this, you can see the automation. On clicking this, you can see how this slicer is responsible for the informations I have on this particular dashboard. So this is just what I have for you. And also these links, you can see how they help you. On clicking this one, you can see how it just links me back to my register. If I click home, you can see how this just links me to my home. If I click this dashboard, you can see how this brings me to the dashboard. So this is just all I have for you. And I remain Alkali Shepherd. Please endeavor to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.